Dear ladies and gentlemen, during last 25 years, the South Caucasus region has entered into the geographical notion into the lexicon of the international expert political lexicon. Region states and their neighbors, among these conflicts that took place, the closure of the borders. First of all, the useful inter-regional political and economical integration achievement has become one of the hindrances to the situation. It's not just by accident that today the states that are within this region and the states that are neighboring with this region, not all of them are the main parts of regional integration that are involved in the infrastructure projects on the energy resources and the transportation. Regions during the last 25 independence years, the military political blocs, economical and customs unions integration has been very important, and very different political trends have been implemented. Of course, Azerbaijan Republic also is doing its best and has established its foreign political and economical relationship. Nationwide leader Heydar Aliyev has founded an important policy that has been very successfully continued, the oil strategy by current President Ilham Aliyev, the important oil strategy that has started the cooperation with Georgia and has been an important and significant initiative. The geographical position of our states and the relations between these two countries is allowing to implement infrastructure projects in bringing oil and gas to the world market, to strengthen the investment of these countries, and allows to expand and strengthen the independence of these two states. Today, Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railroad line, Caspian Sea and Black Sea's shores at Azerbaijan and Georgia is realizing very important constructions on two huge trade ports. The expansion of the cooperation between Azerbaijan and Georgia will make the significance increase as geo-economical and geopolitical location of the region of South Caucasus. It should also be noted that the third state of region, Armenia, with its occupant activity and the policy that it has driven against Azerbaijan and has and the occupation of 20% of the territory, it has been left behind this integration process. The constant three member states of the United Nations Organization Security Council and the activity of Adat Minsk Group, OSCE Minsk Group in Azerbaijan in last 25 years, Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has not found its solution. Armenia continues to do this aggression, and over 1 million people remain the refugees and displaced people that have been remaining in this state. Azerbaijan Republic has an important policy where in United Nations Organization Charter, the threatening activity that is brought against the peace, the violation of peace, and the Aggression Acts, 41st and 42 articles of this clause shows that the occupant state must fully or partially isolate powers from Azerbaijan. This document, these four documents, allow Azerbaijan to provide its rights and gives a legal ground to Azerbaijan. Along with it, unfortunately, the members of the Security Council of United Nations organization are not treating the requirements of this charter with full responsibility, and they interpret it to their liking. An international community is Azerbaijan to provide them to into to provide their rights doesn't let or leave any other choice as to isolate or leave aside this occupant country from these integration processes. Taking the supremacy of this international law, Turkey, that has been supporting Azerbaijan, has closed its borders with Armenia. And with that, regions, every three states have chosen different development paths. All three different countries chose a different development path. Georgia has taken the Euro-Atlantic military, political, and economical position. Armenia is going to collective security agreement, Eurasian Economical Union, and Azerbaijan not getting into any of these states is continuing to do the mutual cooperation with its cooperators and partners. During last 25 years, neighboring countries of Azerbaijan, Russia, Iran, and Turkey have achieved forming the relations with South Caucasus. Each of these three countries have a very rich empire past. It's not just by accident that because of this, over the region, there is a manipulation in the competition. As a result, the neighbors of the region have come to the historical competition and are in this context. They have the historical wars in the context of historical wars. With this non-constructive position, we will not be able to solve the problems of the South Caucasus. On the other hand, if we look at this context from only regional point of view, we won't be able to see the modern realities, national interests that are not taken into account in the existence of the independent states. The South Caucasus states' geographical position is also interesting. Thus, neighboring countries with the region, none of them are not bordering with all three of them. Here we have the exclave territory of Azerbaijan, Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic, having 16 kilometers border with Turkey. We do that as an exception because Nakhchivan itself doesn't have the legal border with Azerbaijan. In this situation, the neighboring states of regions and their useful cooperation building with southern Caucasus, we use the third state's territories, and this does bring together the dependence principle. In this case, the countries that are neighboring with the region, we will see the following. Russia, plus a positive one is Armenia is the ally, and with Azerbaijan is a strategic partner, and no relations with Georgia. Turkey is Azerbaijan is having a strategic and practical partner. With Georgia strategic partnership, they have no relations with Armenia. Iran. Three positive sides. With all the state, it is on political and economical relations has been built, but Iran's other neighboring states in comparison is prevailing. In the south, its partnership relationship is not there with South Caucasus. No military base are there, and no joint strategic projects are in place. As you can see, the South Caucasus directly neighboring states do have certain balance, and them affecting or influencing each of the states in separate is limited. With that, in each of these states, they do have their expectations. These expectations level sometimes is on the level of maximalist to critical to red lines is characterized. The strategic interests bringing to the new positions and strengthening the existing situations. During last several years, there were several difficult situations. In these situations, in the beginning, in the mid of 90s, Caspian Sea and related to it the part in Azerbaijan's resource exploitation start. Bakut-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline project's implementation in the first years of the 21st century, the USA-Iran relations getting worse. 2 years prior to it, Russia and Turkey political crisis, and at the moment, Georgia's supposed membership to NATO. Irrespective of our wish, our region is on the location of the geopolitical breaking. Here, among geopolitical powers, there are certain contradictions and resistances. At the same time, the states of this region, they do have this threat of becoming it on the favor and competition. This is the reason why in Georgia and Caucasus, in southern Caucasus, neighboring states and their geopolitical powers do have changing foreign policy priorities. All of this in parallel does affect the processes dynamics in neighboring regions. In multipolar world, bigger states give them a voluntary influence methods to get their support. For example, smaller states protection or their geopolitical priorities concession, foreign policy lines amendments, and of course the economical useful economical conditions are established, and of course the diplomatic and informative influence has been applied to the domestic policy. There are many other plans that do have very different reactions, and which is also is as an example, Azerbaijan society as president society is having the objectives on for the development, for the sovereignty, and for the state independence and the continuous sustainable economical development. This is the policy of Azerbaijan. As to the policy of Armenia, using the Armenian diaspora in western direction to give the part of its sovereignty in the north formed the political, military and political and economical structures. Georgia, in other case, is trying to get the support of NATO and European unions, but of course building the cooperation relations with Azerbaijan. The situation in Syria, the Astana meetings showed that Iran, Turkey, Russia is having a number of the plans on the principal differences, is still having the real steps to do and to get far from clear directions. It goes without saying that the negotiations taking place related to Syria among the countries in South Caucasus, getting the trust, it's also important to give the positive positive influence to the regional development. Azerbaijan Republic is very actively taking part in these processes and is for becoming this as a subject in this South Caucasus region. In these years, Azerbaijan has many times demonstrated that the geopolitical power centers contradictions need to be agreed, and sometimes these plans can stay on the paper. As an example, I would like to also show the protocol signed between Turkey and Armenia, and these protocols not being ratified. So geographical determinism factor is still effective and will play an important role. I would like to also note that geopolitical identity is not for Azerbaijan only not with states that are neighboring, but also allows to cooperate with geopolitical power centers. It does allow the chances for maneuver. These identities, geographical, historical, religious, and social, cultural possession and economical centers, is allowing to Azerbaijan, the United Nations Organization, the European Union, CIS, Islamic Cooperation Organization, Turkish Council, Black Sea Economical Cooperation Organization, and similar other international platforms to work in parallel and to have the equal rights and mutual cooperation to initiate the transport-related, energy and transport-related projects, to have three format relations in the vectors of west, east, and north and south. 65% of the population of South Caucasus and 70% of the financial resources and of economy is focused in Azerbaijan. So President of Azerbaijan Republic Ilham Aliyev has objectively assessed it and has chosen the strategy that is once again demonstrating that this policy is fully internal political consensus. We can show these political foreign policy principles of Azerbaijan Republic's president as following: not allowed to have the state's geopolitical interests to become the struggle playground, and it's important that we do exclude all the chances that would become the center for the conflict. It's also too important to strengthen the independence, to have expanded cooperation with partners. Historical experience shows that international rights interpretation on different interests can cause new conflicts. And these principles today is allowing the transnational terrorism, criminal groups, separatism, and extremisms activating time very important and very actual. If we do apply these principles into South Caucasus, we can say that South Caucasus states should not be the center for the threat to each other, and at the same time, they should not become a risk for their neighbors. But during recent 25 years in the region, there was no consensus achieved, either domestic or foreign issues. The conflicts and the regulations are indefinite. In 2018, Russia-Georgia conflict, Armenia and Azerbaijan conflict going on in a low-intensive war condition, and one of these states becoming collective security agreement, Armenia's joining this agreement, and Georgia's attempts to become the member to NATO is once again making these initiatives being accepted by Russia. The established situation is bringing to the incompliance and contradictions once again limits the consensus perspectives being not achieved. According to the the work done by the Azerbaijan management, the all of the negotiations that have been taking place on the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has not given its any solution. The situation, in order not to make the situation worse, there were certain observation mechanisms established, discussions conducted with that. The status quo is not being acceptable. There have been declarations, and they tried to freeze the situation, the conflict, and this is how they make this self-drive. So on the other hand, they do recognize the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan and are not trying to punish the occupant state. At the same time, those states, other states used sanctions are not applied to Armenia, and principles and requirements of the international law are not used. In the beginning of April in 2016, in the front line in Armenia, Azerbaijan army, the responses to it once again demonstrated that the mediators' initiatives, the conflict is not frozen, and the occupant part, if they can do this again, and Azerbaijan, of course, will give them the relevant response. The president of Azerbaijan Republic, Ilham Aliyev, is by using a very small part of the military potential, using the local operations, has specially highlighted. April fights has been once again has demonstrated the negative influence to the integration processes in cooperation platforms as Eurasian Economical Union, Collective Security Agreement Organization. April operations of 2016 by means of the military conflicts to influence the region has been also limited. It should also be noted that in the first period of the conflict, planned in the region, all the projects were either completed or were about to be completed. From this point of view, only Armenia had the intention to get their objectives by using the conflict. Energy and transport infrastructure can be given a harm. During last year, in all the international conferences, this could only come to the mind of Yerevan, official Yerevan. In April fights, there are three lateral format: Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran. Relations have been established. Azerbaijan, Georgia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine participated in transport consortium establishment. And the construction of the South Gas Corridor has been continued. Additionally, Bakur-Tbilisi-Kars railroad line is about to be completed. Georgia and China, between Georgia and China, free trade agreement has been achieved. And as Armenia in this 1 year has terror organizations taking police officers hostage, the government crisis, and Skender rockets demonstration. Minsk Group's co-chair states of OSCE, Armenia is continuing its occupancy policy, and this once again shows that the country, the states, co-chair states in the region do have their post-conflict situation plans and expectations. In this situation, they have the formed mutual relations system. Post-conflict stage will be going through the changes. It is very unfortunate that the International Experts Union confesses that what follows this situation in the regions, that the The co-chair states Minsk Group of OSCE
harici siyaset planlarının olmaması,
don't have the
Cemil
foreign
Müttefiklerle
policy
Türkiye'yle
plans
eş
on the
stratejik
post
çalışmaları ve bu
stage
kapasite bunların
after the
artlarıyla
conflict is
Ermenistan
solved,
tarafından
and with that
uzlaştırılması
they will not be able
siyasete
to
eşitlik mantığı olarak tanımlanıyor.
achieve the expected
Bazı
results.
ülkeler bu
But
uygulamada
international
yani
laws
diyelim
position
Azerbaycan
and
Karadağ
Azerbaijan
Suriye
requirements
siyasetinde
are
sağlamaları
in line, so
gerekiyor.
Armenia's
Bu
plans cannot be
sonunda
realized. At the end of
Azerbaycan
my
kendi
speech, I would
gerekçelerini
like to
harici
bring
siyaset
to your
ve harici
attention the
iktisadi siyaset üzerinden
foreign policy and foreign
Azerbaycan
economical
Cumhurbaşkanı
policy major directions that have been defined by the President of the Azerbaijan Republic, Ilham Aliyev.
Geosiyasi cereyan
Geopolitical identity
bütün
that is
platformlarda
participating in all participating platforms, activity to be
Cami
increased,
Gazze'de
to have the
Şam'dan
southern
Şerq'ten
Caucasus
Edirne'ye kadar gidiyor. Bütün
corridor,
strateji Armenistan'ın
north,
yararına
south,
olması.
east,
Yeni hedef
west,
konularının ihracat
transport lines,
performanslarla iki
strategic
tarafın
projects
ortaklaşa
realization. On
geliştirilmesi.
non-oil products
Azerbaycan
export,
rehberliği
to have the
yapısının yıkıcı
bilateral
darbesini
cooperation expansion.
muhtelif regionlarda
In
bastırılmış
different regions,
tartışmalı olarak benzinlenmesi
regulating
başlatıldı.
process and
Münakaşa iştirakçısı olan devletlerin arzusuyla
to be involved as the participant with the wish
Azerbaycan-Azerbaycan
of
Dağlık Karabağ münakaşasının
the
temelinde
state
bu
itself.
meselelerin
The
Ermenistan
solution of the
müdahalesi
Nagorno-Karabakh conflict
tamamı
between
edilmesi,
Armenia and Azerbaijan,
Azerbaycan müdafaa
and
etmesi
and strengthening of the
ve
defense
Azerbaycan
potential of
Cemiyeti
Azerbaijan. Of course,
liderlik
Azerbaijan's
tarafından
side is
temeli koyulmuş bu yeni
founded by
siyaset
Haydar
platformunun
Aliyev
konsolidasyon.
to consolidate
Bu
around
siyaset
this policy,
Azerbaycan federasyon
nationwide
yönetimler
policy,
bağlamında
and this policy
mücadele müsabakalarının
would
gidişatını
guarantee
yönetiyor.
the territorial integrity of
Cemiyet
Azerbaijan,
parçalanmasının alternatif reallıkların yaratılmasını,
the
harici siyaset
alternative
realitelerinin
realities
değiştirilmesini
establishment, foreign
yönetmiş
policy priorities,
harici
changing
hibrit muharebelerin
foreign
uygulamaları
hybrid war
ve
methods, radical and
demokratik
destructive
diyalogla
ideology
ülkenin nüfus determinasyonu karşı
to have
dayanıklı
substantial immunity established against.
çünkü eş
Because
halkın
otherwise, sovereignty can be
cemiyet
lost,
parçalanır,
society can be broken, and the development can be stopped. Thank you for your attention and your patience. Thank you.